Hi, everybody. Janet Eichorst here. Welcome and blessings to you today. We are going to talk about relationships, heart centered soul relationships, and how we serve as catalysts for each other. How we can have those relationships that help us remember who we are, reflect back to us really important stuff so that we can be more of who we truly are. Now, today, this is kind of a go for it podcast for me because it was instigated. This topic came up because I found out yesterday a friend of mine died. And it hit me hard. And it's not like I don't have a big heart and I love big, because I do. And I hadn't known this woman long, maybe a year and a half, when she was in town, because she lived across the way and sometimes she'd be here and sometimes she wouldn't. But I saw her often, and she absolutely adored my beloved Gracie dog. And when we were walking, we saw her often and we talked to her often. And so, as I reflected upon this relationship and why it struck me so deeply, I got into this, process of thinking about how important relationships are, and how on our journey, our soul journey, right? And it's dimensional. It's this evolutionary path that I know I'm on, and I'm pretty sure you're on too. This path where we're becoming and accessing more of our true selves, and how the people that we meet on our path are so significant. And this woman had this effect on me, and I had it on her too. I know this because of the depth of the way that we communicated, and the things that we talked about were real. And we had a lot of similarities. I might get a little emotional here. She was very intuitive. We did some peer-like trading with each other, helping each other on different parts of our journey, physical issues that we had, or emotional, or I don't know, even some releasing of some major chunks of gunk that we still had left in our fields. And so we related on that level. And what I know is that that process of interacting with her helped me have more of a heart opening. And it was such good practice because I've been in a lot of different types of relationships, as we all have, right? And some of them, you could call them boundaries, or when to be more intimate, when to share more intimate things, where, like how to navigate all of that, because she loved Gracie so much and Gracie loved her. And so she ended up becoming a dog sitter. And so when she was in my apartment, I was like, okay, I'm always conscientious about how I navigate that. Can she eat anything in the fridge if she wants? Can she do this? Do I shut off a room? I'm always aware of that, because that's a responsibility I have in how I maintain my space. And so throughout my relationship with this woman, I would have all these choice points, and I would be very aware of when I thought I might be getting too attached. And that's a really good thing to look at. And do I know someone well enough, and how they interact? Can I share more intimate things with them? What do I talk about? How do I talk about it? And what level of detail do I share? And this is trial and error earth, right? We don't know, but we take steps and we take risks, because for me, I want to have those heart openings. And if you want to, you can check out the last podcast I did with Charlie Marie, where she shares about her feeling of being unconditionally loved. And it was a major heart opening for her. episode 26, the one just prior to this. And that is where, when my heart opens more, that soulfulness that I am, that access to pure source frequency turns up. It's more available. And that is what makes this world so enjoyable. Okay, I need to take a deep breath here. So as I'm processing this level of grief, I'm examining the levels of relationship I had with her. And she is one of those people that she's much more freer about saying, I love you. And I kind of wait till I feel it before I say it, because that's how my authenticity is. And there's also those parts of me where I'm still kind of working out safety, and I'm developing that skill of when I feel like I can be vulnerable with people. So with her, I got to practice all these things along the way so I could build a healthy relationship and not cross any lines of dependencies, boundaries, appropriateness, where somebody sits in my circle. And I got to practice this with her. And there were so many moments, you know how when you're just with somebody and you look at them and you just feel at ease? There's like a level of God consciousness and comfortability. It's just so pure and so beautiful. And that I had with her. And for me, I took it slowly because with my patterning, I'd made decisions in the past where I went too fast, and then somebody kind of colored outside the lines and didn't honor and respect me in that meanness. So this is so valuable because I know all of us want to be with our soul family and with people that we can love, and that the relationships are meaningful and that we feel safe and comfortable in. And so this relationship, how she served as such a great catalyst and practice point for me to get better at this. Because I do want to go for it. I do want to have those meaningful relationships. I do want to be able to serve and have my light be so strong that I'm not worried about being hurt or wounded. Because when I get those awakenings and when my presence is so strong, a lot of that stuff gets taken care of. My intuitive nudges are there. They're here. And so that's one of the most beautiful things that we can do for each other and how we serve. And sometimes being a catalyst for somebody is messy. Hang on, I'm going to pause as I blow my nose. Sometimes being a catalyst, of having other people be a catalyst, means that I find out what doesn't work. And that can be messy sometimes, where, somebody might say something inappropriately. Somebody might reveal information about me that's personal, that I hold sacred, to other people. I don't like those kind of people in my inner circle. So that's why I take the time generally and am thoughtful and conscientious to know whether it's appropriate what I share and how I share it. And I've had a lot of practice. I can share very intimate and very personal things more generically. And I'm saying the same thing, but just from a higher level, so the detail's not involved. Because when it gets to that level of detail, it just doesn't. That's the thing that I'm kind of, I don't know, not testing, but in relationship building, see what somebody does. And there's a really good clue about this, and I know I've shared this in previous podcasts, I think with Jill, is that if other people, if I'm talking with somebody and they're sharing information that seems more personal, that if it were me, I wouldn't want shared with somebody else. If somebody is doing that, they're probably going to do it with me and about me. So that's a clue. We're consistent until we shift, right? And I know there's been quite a few relationships where I know this and I know how important this is to me. Honor and respect means holding someone's information that's sacred. You hold it as if it's a gift, and there's a responsibility in what I do with that, right? So, yeah, I need to take another breath here. So, I want to talk about grief. Now, when somebody passes away, leaves their physical body, that is a pretty obvious grief process, depending on how well you knew somebody and how deep the connection was. But we know that form of grief. And we also know there's a lot of other levels of grief that are present right now. And what I'm doing with this level of grief is I'm going with it, being present to it, to as deep as it goes, and mining the gifts and the gold from it. And I've shared some of the things that have come out of this. And I also want to talk about this in terms of the huge changes that are happening on our earth and in our lives. We know job changes, relationship changes, moves. We know all these are kind of some of the bigger ways that we can have grief. And those get to be honored too, and may serve as catalysts for a deeper level of awakening, revelation, and understanding, and a way to be more of who I am. In these human bodies, we feel, and our emotions are so profound in how they help us be, feel, and know that connection to source. And the things that we can mine and get from being present to those emotions are quite unexpected sometimes. I mean, I still feel a bit numb from this relationship, this woman passing from her body. And I'm going to stay with that. And I know when grief and passing, these situations happen, they can also bring up any unfinished business internally. And so I don't know where this is going to lead. And I so appreciate and love my friend for all the time that we had, all those beautiful moments, and for the catalyst, the way she served as a catalyst for me and the joy that she brought me. And I'm kind of too numb to talk with her from where she is now. I do have a sense that she's got some business that she's attending to, and I certainly honor that. And I suspect that at some point I will have a conversation with her, and a more active, conscious conversation with her, and I look forward to that. So heart opening, relationships, soul remembering, greater access. We have so much available to us in this whole heart complex, I'm going to call it. This is where our access to source is so accessible, right? That sounded funny. This is where we can access source profoundly and the easiest, right? Whew. So, for a moment, let's all just breathe together here. And I need this probably more than you guys do at this point because I'm still a little bit raw and numb. So, let's just breathe together and see if you have an opportunity right now for more of a heart opening for you. Now, this is the relationship with all the different layers and dimensions of you. I've been talking mostly up to this point about our relationship with seemingly other. And now let's take this inward and look at our relationship with ourselves. Take some deep breaths and breathe deeply into your belly. And that really is what relationships with other, they reflect back things to us internally. What's happening inside of me? Where do I have an opportunity to have greater access to this heart complex, to pure source frequency? That's what I'm inviting you to do right now. However that looks for you, however you experience source, color, sound, frequency. Breathe and try to breathe in your whole body. So your inhale like your whole body. And for me, I find it easiest if I focus on my heart and just relax my mind and my body. And then focus on that breath. And let's intend for greater access to our pure frequencies, to our pure soul signature, to who we really are, which allows us to feel, be, and radiate more of that pure source frequency. And just for a moment, see if there's any guidance available to you right now. Any knowings, any nudges, any information, any revelations. And just release the old constructs of the mind that might have an idea about what that should be or what that could be. Just let that go, which allows for a deeper level of communion. This is really a holy communion, not religious. It's you being who you are in your bigness to the greatest capacity in human form. Grounded, we're not in the clouds, we're in our bodies. That's why we use our breath and breathe into our whole being. And let's all just open up to be catalysts for good. And what I mean by that is unconditionally love based. And think about relationships. See if there's anybody right now, any action you can take, anything that might need a little tending to. And it might be you, it might be your family members, it might be anybody in your community, it might be your pets, it might be our beloved Mother Earth, Gaia. You know, I lived in this apartment complex for 5 years, and I had no idea I would experience and receive the level of love, the possibilities for community with people that I probably wouldn't even have talked to, right? Or developed relationships with. I mean, I first thought, felt like I was living in college, right? Like this first I ended up in a 650 square foot apartment. It's the only one they had available and it was small. And I felt like I was in a pressurized cracker box, and then I moved into a bigger place. And the level of love, the level of practice in community building has been extraordinary. And it isn't something I would have picked as a human. It was very divinely guided. And I feel such gratitude for that. So, you, in your community, in your life, how can you be and live as a catalyst of love, unconditional? We've hit our 20 minutes. So much love and so many blessings to you. Please share, like. The more love that we can radiate, the better. Till next time. Bye bye.